The resumption of South Korea-Japan joint military exercises has failed, and Sene Akishima has suffered another heavy blow. According to a report by Yonhap News Agency on the 17th, multiple South Korean and Japanese government officials revealed that the Republic of Korea Navy has notified the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force that the South Korea-Japan joint military exercises, originally scheduled for this month, will be suspended. This joint search-and-rescue exercise, which was held intermittently 10 times from 1999 to 2017, was originally regarded by the outside world as an important signal of the thaw between South Korea and Japan, but it came to an abrupt halt on the eve of its resumption. Behind all this, Japanese Prime Minister Sane Akishima can be called the chief contributor. The direct trigger for the collapse of the exercise is Dokdo, a disputed territory between South Korea and Japan. This small island with an area of only 0.18 square kilometers is an inherent territory of South Korea, both historically and legally. It is currently under the actual control of South Korea, but it has become a persistent obsession of Japanese right-wing politicians. Recently, the Japanese government has expanded the so-called Territorial Sovereignty Exhibition Hall specifically to promote its illegal claims to Dokdo. This blatant provocative act has directly touched South Korea's sensitive nerves. Such provocation has instantly extinguished the fledgling signs of day-on in South Korea-Japan relations, making the suspension of the joint exercises an inevitable result. From refusing refueling services to canceling performances, and now to the suspension of the exercises, the relations between South Korea and Japan have deteriorated sharply within a short month. The mastermind behind all this is Sane Akishima, who has taken frequent actions since taking office. Since Sane Akishima took the helm of the Japanese cabinet, her series of moves have explicitly or implicitly pointed to the restoration of militarism, which has kept Jae-myung, the newly inaugurated South Korean president, on high alert. As Shinzo Abe's protege, Sane Akishima has inherited his deep-rooted right-wing ideology. She frequently visits the Yasukuni Shrine, claims to abolish the clause in the peace constitution that renounces war, advocates renaming the Self-National Defense Forces as the National Defense Forces, promotes a substantial increase in defense spending, and even attempts to revise Japan's 3-no- nuclear principles. More arrogantly, she has broken the ambiguous stance of previous Japanese governments on Taiwan-related issues, openly claiming that a situation in the Taiwan Strait involving warships accompanied by the use of force may constitute an existential crisis for Japan, implying that Japan could exercise the right to collective self-defense to intervene militarily. Such blatant words and deeds that undermine regional stability and challenge the post-war international order have deeply unsettled South Korea, a country that also suffered from Japanese military aggression. After all, the scars of history will not heal easily. South Korean people naturally remain vigilant against the resurgence of Japanese militarism, according to public opinion polls. 87% of South Korean respondents believe that Japan has not sincerely apologized for its colonial rule, and 62% of respondents explicitly oppose military cooperation with Japan. The Jae-myung administration clearly cannot ignore the will of the people. Sane Akishima's retrogressive actions have not only aroused South Korea's vigilance, but also drawn unanimous condemnation from Japan's neighbors. Russia directly exposed the essence of its historical revisionism, criticized Japan for being a vassal of the United States, imposed an indefinite ban on 30 Japanese citizens entering Russia, and reaffirmed that the sovereignty of the Southern Kurils is indisputable. North Korea even directly called Japan a millennium-older enemy. These three countries with close geographical ties to Japan have rarely formed a unified stance of criticism, which fully shows that Sane Akishima's policies have seriously endangered regional security and stability. More embarrassingly for Sane Akishima, even the U.S. allies she had high hopes for refused to back her at a critical moment. Donald Trump stated outright in an interview today that many allies are not even friends, failing to endorse her provocative remarks on Taiwan and instead emphasizing that relations with China are very good. It should be noted that Sane Akishima had previously staged intimate interactions with Donald Trump at a U.S. military base in Japan, claiming that the U.S.-Japan alliance had entered a golden age. However, in Trump's interest calculations based on America First, Japan is nothing more than a pawn that can be abandoned at any time. When Sane Akishima tried to bind the United States to her own chariot, the White House made it clear through practical actions that they would not easily engage in direct conflict with China for the sake of Japan's ambitions. This move of cutting the ground from under her feet has left Sane Takashima in an even more isolated and helpless predicament. Against this background, the Jae-myung administration is naturally in no hurry to thaw relations with Japan. Instead, it has strengthened its determination to improve relations with China. After all, the economies of China and South Korea are deeply interdependent. In 2024, South Korea's trade with China accounted for 16.7% of its GDP, and 60% of its semiconductor exports relied on the Chinese market. A deterioration in relations with China would only deal a heavy blow to South Korea's pillar enterprises, such as Samsung and Hyundai. Moreover, Sane Takashima's actions have made South Korea fully aware of the dangers of Japan's right-wing government. Rather than taking risks to deepen cooperation with Japan, it is better to consolidate the pragmatic relations with China. Therefore, the South Korean government officially revised the official order of the three East Asian countries to South Korea minus China minus Japan, replacing the Japan minus by South Korea minus Japan minus China used during the Yoon Suk-Yeol era. This subtle change is a silent slap in the face to the Sane Takashima administration. Facts have proven that any attempt to go against the tide of history and restore militarism will encounter firm opposition from neighboring countries and condemnation from the international community. If Sane Takashima still refuses to restrain herself in the future and continues to rush down the wrong path of militarism restoration, she will surely face even greater failures, and Japan under her leadership will ultimately fall into an even more isolated situation.